All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got something a little bit unique here today. We are not downstairs at the workbench. We are up in my office at my regular old work setup, and we're going to be doing some track planning today. I figured this is kind of a stream I've been wanting to do for a while now, honestly. I really enjoy track planning. My layout's pretty much done. The Fremo layout, there's not really much more for me to do there either. But I figured, it's going to be a fun opportunity to talk through a little bit of what I do when I track plan, and maybe even learn a little bit from you guys as well. So really exciting. I do have fancy mic tonight. Do I sound pretty good to everybody? I've got my own very own Mikey up here tonight, Dennis. So hopefully I sound pretty good. This will be my first time streaming from this mic. It's really strange. I've even got headphones in so that I can monitor my audio and everything. So hopefully I sound okay. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope we get a good crowd in here tonight. I'm looking forward to hanging out with everybody. But let me say hi to everybody here. It looks like we've got quite a few in already. Looks like Garrett was here first. Wow, Garrett beat Adam in tonight. That's surprising. Adam's here second, though, of course. And looks like Brandon's here. Mitch is here. Verona Division's here. Rick is here. Scott's here. Dennis is here. Mason Dixon is here. John's here. Chris is here. Ted's here. Welcome in, everybody. I'm happy to have you all. Chris, no scenery on those Fremo modules yet. We've got a couple of other projects that really need to get taken care of before I'm working on Fremo scenery. So first of which is actually hopefully next week I'll be finally able to move over to the new workbench, which will be exciting. But one of the first projects we're going to be tackling on the new workbench, hopefully on live stream, is actually going to be the scenery on my T-Track module, which has to go with me to Springfield. And that's coming up a lot quicker than the next time I'm going to need to have my Fremo modules out and about. So I think we're going to work on some T-Track scenery before we do anything else. That's for sure. Garrett thought we started at 7. Yeah, I'll let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. So it's not really a secret, but the days that I start the stream at 7:30 are usually days that I end up in office on Mondays, and then certain Mondays I end up at home, working from home on Mondays, which are usually the days that I'll end up starting at 7 o'clock, just because I'm home. I don't have a half-hour commute, and therefore have a half hour more to decompress after the workday, eat dinner, cook dinner if I need to, and that sort of thing. So anyway, tonight we're doing some track planning, and we're gonna, I figured the best way to start this is actually to show you guys the Freelance Cinematic Universe map. This is the map of all of the short lines that we have built together. And the railroad that we're going to be track planning is on this map. It is the BVRR. Now, the BVRR, Mitch can definitely walk us through what exactly the BVRR is. Hopefully, my screen's only pixelated because I'm not zoomed in very far. Hopefully, you'll be able to see everything pretty well once we're zoomed in. Let's see. Let me actually turn off. If I turn off the satellite imaging, it might look a little bit better. My stream connection seems great, so I don't know why else it would be pixelated other than maybe a bad connection. But anyway, so this is the Freelance Cinematic Universe map. This is where we've got pretty much everybody so far that's been added to this freelance cinematic universe. You can see we've got a couple of properties out west. This is our very first Class 1 partner. This is Nick's, what's he call it? The Mountain and Pacific, I think is what he calls it. Let me scroll down to, where's he got it here? Mountain Pacific Lines. So that's our very first Class 1 partner, which is pretty exciting. I think we've even got a new one coming online now, which is going to be Texas Farm Link. That one we just added in the other day. He's a gentleman that's been working with us a little bit. We've got Josh's one freelance idea here in what are we in there? Wisconsin, up in the Green Bay area, which is pretty cool. And then most of the freelances that we've been working with so far are in the Northeast, Western New York specific. But we've got Dennis out here in the Poughkeepsie area, excuse me, with his Belfort and Colucci Creek Southern, which is this whole massive network out here of former New Haven tracks and other things. Although it sounds like he was thinking he might need to think about the amount of north-south lines he's got filling in this area, because as you can see, he does have quite a few there. We've got Mr. John Farrington down here with the Somerset and Raritan added in, which is pretty cool. And then most of it, like I said, up here in Western New York, here is the Genesee, Wyoming transportation property. You can see this is our interchange with Norfolk Southern down here in Attica. And then there's the line from Batavia to Leroy, which is the former Erie Batavia branch, which we take a hold of and is part of our story. It's at there that we get on trackage rights for Buffalo, Rochester, and Pennsylvania, which is my club's freelance. And we've got trackage rights all the way to P&L Junction here. And P&L Junction in real life was a crazy busy place where there was just a ton of interchange traffic going on. There was, I think, 5 different Class 1 railroads in there at one point or another. You can actually, if you look hard enough, still see the remnants of all 5. I can try to, I think I can probably name all of them. So you've got this stretch here, which would have been the Lehigh Valley. You've got this here, which is the former B&O, or in our case, is the freelance Buffalo, Rochester, and Pennsylvania. You've got this line, which was the original Genesee and Wyoming, the little old salt hauler that went from Retzoff, New York, just up to here to P&L Junction to interchange. They also had an interchange with Lackawanna as well. But just a little tiny salt hauler that in my freelance world never came to be anything more, which is pretty incredible. No orange board in the freelance cinematic universe. That's, but who knows? That could be replaced by the Genesee, Wyoming transportation green monster. And then this is actually the old New York Central peanut line that you can see a little bit. Oh, no, actually, excuse me. This is the old Erie Batavia branch right here. That you can see just a little bit of the old remnants of. And then the New York Central peanut line actually ran parallel to the B&O, pretty much all the way to P&L Junction, and then peeled off here. And then a little bit of the peanut line actually still exists, served off of Rochester and Southern now. There's the New York bean plant on that part of the line. And then you come all the way down here into town, and then there's a couple of other industries, which one of them is JCI Jones Chemical, and I'm not entirely sure what this one is in Caledonia. But yeah, so those are, I think, the 5 total lines that ended up serving P&L Junction. It's a pretty cool place. So cool, in fact, that let's see if I can pull it up here. I'll show you guys. This is my hopeful eventual plan as far as total Fremo modules, which is hopefully you guys will find interesting. This is what I already have that exists. This is the Batavia branch section of my railroad that I'm working on along with my clubs. And then we... Oh, that's a bummer that my mouse doesn't show up. I'm not even sure how I would fix that. Let me see. Capture cursor. That should fix it. Okay, now you guys can see my mouse. Thanks for letting me know that. I apologize. But yeah, this is my ultimate goal as far as Fremo modules are concerned. This is my rendition of P&L Junction, which I'm hoping to someday take on. It's obviously very much selectively compressed, but this is, of course, the BR&P trackage coming in with a small yard there. And then the two junctions, this would have been the Genesee and Wyoming junction coming in here. And then this would have been the Lehigh Valley here as well. Not modeled would be the New York Central and the Erie portions of the line. My audio is cracking. Okay. Interesting. I do have the gain all the way up. Let's see. Is that any better now? I'm probably going to be a little bit quieter now, but I don't know that I can't hear it cracking in my monitor now. So hopefully we're okay. Okay. Are we okay now? My monitor never was getting up into the red, so I didn't think I was peaking. That's strange. Okay, well, anyway, so that's P&L Junction as far as that's concerned, and then we also have what's going to ultimately end up being kind of the heart of the whole freelance cinematic universe that we're working on here, which is the salt mine, the Mount Morris salt mine, where all of the salt for the freelance cinematic universe, the Circa universe, is flowing out of. That's kind of where the Circa story begins. It is right at this salt mine. So eventually, the plan is to be able to model that. So we'll see. It could be a long time before I have time to. But anyway, this is the ultimate plans for Fremo. Just wanted to kind of show you guys around a little bit of the track planning that I've been doing recently. So I've got one other thing I wanted to show you guys before we get into Mitch's track planning that we're going to do, and that's this behemoth of a layout that I've been track planning for my friend Tyler. This is a massive double deck layout that I've been planning for him that he's hoping to break ground on soon. I'm actually going to hopefully show it to you guys in 3D. Uh-oh. There we go. But yeah, so this is a massive triple deck layout that I've been working on. You can see that there is a lower level staging there. You got the main layout, main bench, and then an upper deck. I've got a lot of it planned. The only thing left to do is going to be the industries themselves, but it's based off of the Norfolk Southern tier line from Gang Mills to Binghamton, and yeah, I'm really excited to be designing this for him. Like I said, main line's in. It's also got the Ithaca secondary, which serves a Cargill salt mine in current day, and then also had a coal-fired power plant on it as well, which he's going to model as well. So that'll be a really fun little switching opportunity off the main. But this thing is a behemoth. I've been working on it for months. I've finally got kind of the overall the overall idea of the layout down, and it's just a matter of getting the industries into final placement, and then that one will be good to go, which is going to be really exciting. But even though I'm not done with this one, I did tell Mitch that I would help him with a little bit of his freelance track planning. So Mitch is modeling the BVRR, and what's the actual town names there? I can't remember. Well, I'm scrolling down to it. He's got it mapped out here. Blairville is the B in BVRR, and then V. What's the? Well, we can have him tell us what it is. You hear the cracking. Well, that's a bummer. I don't know why that would be. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything I can do on my end here. Man, I even have clip guard on. Maybe that'll help it. I don't know. Okay, well, if this is any better, let me know. I think I can hear it in my monitor now that I am hearing it back, but maybe... is that any better? No. Blacklick Valley Railroad. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this is Mitch's railroad. I told him I do not have the time to be taking on projects like Tyler's for everybody. So the idea behind this one is going to be to kind of teach a man to fish. So we talked a little bit online, Mitch and I, about what we could do as far as planning something. So to get him started, we're going to work on what's going to end up being about a 16-foot switching layout, which he'll be able to incorporate into a larger layout if he so chooses in the future. So we're going to focus primarily on the area here in Blairsville. And this is kind of how I start when I'm track planning. Is I take a look at Google Maps first. I see what's in the area. I see what the layout of trackage is, so that I can replicate it as best I can on a track plan. This one, because we're using it basically as 16 straight linear feet, it may be a little bit more difficult to really do much with it, but we're gonna work our way through it. There's a couple of industries on this part of the layout that we're going to be working on that are all mapped out here. So we've got Blairsville Feed, which keep in mind this is a freelance, so some of these industries don't currently get rail service. In fact, this entire line, I believe, was wiped out. Past a certain point was wiped out in a flood, I think Mitch was telling me, a good little while before present day, which is the time frame in which he's modeling. But we got Blairsville Feed. We've got DeBach Specialty Glass Corporation. This is a business that does actually exist but is not rail served. We've also got Hank's Scrap Company. There is a scrap company here, or at least, what could be a scrap company. So we'll try to kind of replicate that as best we can for Mitch. And then we've also got what we're planning on being a team track down here right in downtown Blairsville. This is the Blairsville station here, which is pretty neat. If we have room to model or to put that in the track plan, we probably will. And then we've also got this really interesting arrangement of track where the Norfolk Southern goes underneath the Blairsville Valley and or Blacklick Valley. Jeez Louise. Yeah, Blacklick Valley, and then drops down grade and then interchanges with Norfolk Southern. So we're gonna kind of just get into the track planning of it. Basically, the area we're gonna be track planning is basically like, if you see where my cursor is here, down to maybe the interchange if we end up having room for that. We're track planning in 16 feet of space. So we do have to kind of treat it as if it's, it needs to be done in an efficient manner in order to do that and be a part of a larger layout eventually. So, yeah. All right. Wow, we even got Chris here tonight. Welcome in. Welcome in. And anybody else that popped in? Nope, nobody that I'm seeing. So anyway, we've got the track plan ready to go. This is our 2-foot by 16-foot area that we're going to be track planning in. Based on my recommendation, I'm hoping that Mitch is going to be okay with going with Pico, FlexTrack, and Code 83 switches. In my experience, that's been the best track that I've ever used in my limited experience. Andy's here. Welcome in, Andy. Sorry, I did see you you pop in a message above, but I must have missed reading it. I apologize. Oh, and I think Montana Railroad is here as well. Welcome in. Josh, welcome into you as well. We're talking about your short line there, but I realized I never actually said hi to you. Yeah, so this is where we're going to start. I'm doing a lot more talking tonight than I normally do, and I don't have any water back here. So I am going to pop out just for a second, get a glass of water, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so let's see what we can do here. How is the audio now? Are we getting any better here? Hopefully we are. I know it seems like it's kind of hit or miss as far as what everybody's getting anyway, but okay. So we've got 16 feet of space to play with. I have a goal of fitting in, there's 4 industries total I would like to fit in. You know, if it's unreasonable to fit all 4 of them in, then we can run with 3. But I would like to get all 4 of them in just so that there's a lot of good switching opportunity for Mitch when he's running this dedicated section. And then we got that interchange. The interchange is where I think I may run into a problem fitting that into this length of space. I can get all 4 of these industries in 16 feet with relative ease. I think the issue may end up being getting the interchange in, which may mean that I need to encourage Mitch to go with something like a banjo or a fiddle yard of sorts that can be kind of added on to the end of this 16 feet while he's still building the rest of his layout. So he can let me know how he feels about that being sort of the interchange. But we'll kind of start at the other end of the yard. I think I do have to do just a little fiddling around in the screen that you guys can't see. I'm lucky enough to have dual screen set up here, but I want to just get my map up over on this screen as well, just so that I have it up to reference. And now, of course, I just compressed your chat all the way down. Definitely got some growing pains here tonight. First time actually streaming on the PC. Yeah. Okay, so I've got everything up here in front of me. This is gonna kind of be fairly uncreative because we're working with a fairly straight section of track. The prototype itself does have this big, kind of sweeping curve all the way through it. So I would like to be able to kind of introduce some sort of curvature into this, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. We're just going to kind of try to wing it as best we can here. Okay, so let's get some track down. The big thing that we want to do first, I'm going to work kind of right to left because I'm not sure what sort of space I'm going to end up with for the interchange. Which means we're going to start with Hank's scrap. Now, when I'm planning, a small switching layout like this, I either need to make sure that there's enough headroom at the end of a switching layout like this so that I can have a trailing point switch and have headroom to pull every single car off the siding, or I need enough headroom to have every single car off the siding and every single possible inbound car coming in. So in, let's see, in 36 inches of track, I could likely fit, I don't know, 2 or 3 60-foot gondolas, which means that the capacity of Hank's scrap would need to be at max like two cars. Whereas if I was to put this as a facing point switch, so meaning if I was to put it, let's see, I think I'm going to keep this simple and just kind of use number 5s, just because it is a small switching layout and I want to be able to conserve space, and pico switches are great. Whereas if I put this in as a facing point switch, so when I'm saying facing point switch, I'm thinking that you're coming in from this direction and when you're switching. So the interchange is off to the left-hand side and then we're coming in. So now I'm able to kind of use this full length if I put a switch right here for Hank's scrap, where I could likely put 3 cars in there. I have 3 cars worth of of off spot here to be able to put my inbounds on while I'm switching out the outbounds. So I think because we're so close to the edge of the layout, we're likely going to go with a facing point switch there for Hank's. The big thing that we also do have to keep in mind is that we do need a sizable runaround somewhere on this layout so that you are able to, run around a reasonable amount of cars and you're not taking forever to switch this. So all right, so Mitch, the one question I have for you is that I promised 16 feet worth of layout, which we're working on, obviously, but I would like to, rather than have the Norfolk Southern interchange modeled on this layout, I would like to have in the plan sort of an off layout, like fold out yard, basically fiddle yard. This is something I think Joey's kind of got this on his warehouse alley switching layout, where he's got a little bit of extra capacity off layout that can kind of fold down flat. So I'd like to be able to do that as sort of your Norfolk Southern interchange unmodeled staging yard sort of deal. So as long as you're okay with that, that's kind of what we're going to plan on doing. So we'll plan on that being kind of off to the left here. And I'll model it probably just as a little 2-track yard, something like that. Let's see, where's my number 5s? Good evening, Joey, by the way. Happy to have you in. Yes, okay. 3 feet on both sides of your layout, that's right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just add a parallel flex, and we're going to do it 2 inches south of that piece. I'm just going to put a nominal cut in here, and I'm going to reconnect it, and then drag that up and connect it with the switch, smooth out the flex, and then we've got ourselves a nice little fiddle yard, or at least that's what I call a fiddle yard, banjo yard, fold up sort of deal of some sort. And that's what we're going to plan on being our Norfolk Southern interchange. So that gives us probably 6 cars worth of, a little bit more than 6 cars worth of storage, depending on what size we're using as far as our cars are concerned. And we can kind of work our way to the left. Yeah, so again, Mitch, this is definitely a temporary situation. Once you get into the full layout, ideally you should be able to model the full Norfolk Southern interchange, which should be cool. It should be fun to be able to model that. You could even model it with the grades changing, where Norfolk Southern leads back into a large staging yard for a bunch of car storage. But like I said, not necessarily something I have the ability to, have the time to model for you. So, okay, so we've got Hanks down here on the right-hand side. And again, this is going to be fairly uncreative, but we're kind of going to model Hanks as if it's, a very close to the line industry, just parallel to it. Excuse me. I'm going to model this basically as 24 inches of straight track. Actually, I want to model that. I'm just going to nominally cut it there. And again, a lot of what we're doing tonight is rough draft stuff. There's a lot of stuff that, as things progress, I may be able to come in and fine tune. Like this curve right here, as I'm looking at it, I'm not happy with kind of the length of it. So let's do a little bit more refined work here. Let's do 8 inches of straight track to get us off of the layout, and then we can come in and right click, curve the flex here, and then we'll go with I can't remember what it's got to be out of a number 5, but we'll kind of just wing it to start. Okay, yep, definitely not that sharp of an angle. So we'll go down to 15. How close are we there? Need a little bit less. How close is that? Almost. That looks like it's pretty much it. All right, let's bring this, let's go. I'm gonna bring that right to the edge of the layout. That's good enough. Okay, so there's our Hanks scrap in there. So we've got there's about enough space there for 3 cars if you're coming right up to the clearance point. 2 for sure, which is a pretty good size for sure. So even though we're not at the workbench tonight, I still would love to know what everybody's working on. We've definitely still got the opportunity to chat as we're working on this track plan for Mitch, without a doubt. I actually let's go with that. So because we're working on such a large curve, for part of the layout, I do want to kind of do my best to portray that as best I can. So my plan for that is kind of going to be, I either want to have the banjo yard kind of be up here and introduce the curve this way and then swing it back up. Oh boy, math homework, that's no fun. So yeah, I either want to curve it down this way and swing it back up, or vice versa, and start it down here. I think, though, this is kind of closer to what the actual orientation is, right, like that. So I think that's the way I'm going to end up working on that. Now, as we're thinking about this coming out of interchange, that the team track is going to kind of be the first industry we get to, which would be a facing point switch coming out of interchange. So we've got to be able to track plant that in. And let me close out my Freemo stuff. That doesn't need to be up anymore. I'm just trying to think how I want to add that in here. Awesome, Mason Dixon. Hope it was a good show. So this kind of helps us get our S-curve in here, which should look nice. And then this is kind of our facing point switch for the team track, which we can come in with just a little bit of curve here to, you know, give us more space. This team track, I think I was talking to Mitch about this briefly. Maybe actually I wasn't really talking to Mitch about this, but he can tell us what it is he would want to have moving in and out of a team track. I figured, you know, fertilizer, agricultural products of different sorts would be probably realistic to see coming out of or coming into this sort of team track in Western Pennsylvania. So we're gonna go. I think I want that to be just a little bit shorter of a curve. Gotcha. All right, Mitch is on board with fertilizer. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as the team track is concerned. Let's see. So we've got two different industries now to fit in between Hank's scrap and the team track. So we're going to have to kind of try to figure out how to be slightly more creative with it. I also need to make sure that I am planning things adequately here. Let's see. If we look at the real map, there really isn't a ton of space between where the team track is and where Blairsville feed is going to be. So we really don't have to worry about there being a ton of space between them on the track plan either. I could likely, let's see, how do I want to do this? I gotta be careful to stay up next to the mic. I kept slouching down in my chair, and I'm used to wearing my mic on my collar. So let's see. I think I want to put the switch for Blairsville feed kind of right in here. Nope, wrong turnout. Now, as I'm thinking about this, I also need to remember that I still need to put in a runaround somewhere, which I'm thinking as I'm looking at things. A good spot for that is going to be right here. I don't want to get too close to this edge. I may have to just sharpen up these curves slightly. Well, you're gonna run out of stuff to weather, Ted. You gotta make sure you've got enough there. Okay, let's bring this down. That was 50 is a nice wide sweeping curve, which we don't necessarily need to have that sharp of one. I could keep that one at 50, I think. And that gets me a couple of inches. Shrink that down as well, though. Okay, so I actually thinking, so I could either do the runaround from here up, or I could do all the way to here, but that's a really long runaround. If I do it all the way to here, I don't think I even technically have headroom to pull every single car that would be on it up. Let's see what we think of it down here. But then again, you know what? Just because it's that long doesn't mean we're ever going to have that many cars on it. Like I said, you know, and the banjo can be as large as Mitch really wants it, or actually I'll adjust the size of the banjo to be, you know, kind of equal to the amount of cars on the layout at any given time. That's probably going to be what I end up doing. But I can make this run around longer than there's really headroom for, and it's not that big a deal. Okay, I want that. Actually, what I really want to do is parallel flex north 2 inches, and then I can just bring this down. Boom. Boom. Smooth flex. Perfect. And then I can bring this one over and kind of just do the same thing here. Okay, so there's our runaround, which will, you know, obviously be critical for a switching layout like this. Especially when you have trailing and facing point industries, you're going to want to make sure you've got a runaround. Otherwise, basically half your layout's useless. Okay, initial thoughts here as I'm looking at this. I think I want to change the angle. We're coming in here a little bit. Let's see. I think I only want that to be like 25. Just because I'm looking at this thinking that's way too sharp. Actually, I just want to delete that. And actually, a little bit more space here than I need now. I like that angle a little bit better. Gonna be able to get kind of a nice sweeping curve back into to Hank's scrap here, which will be good. And then trying to think, I'm almost thinking, I don't really love going with curve switches, but I'm almost thinking about having the turnout for Blairsville feed be on the runaround. That way I've got room for that last industry, which is going to be the glass facility here. Blueback Glass, I guess it's called. Dewback. Oh, well. I put this one in there, not Mitch, and I misspelled it. So yeah, that's our last industry. That would probably end up being a trailing point switch as well, in addition to Blairsville feed. So that's cool. We'll end up with 2 facing points and 2 trailing point switches. The Pico curve turnouts do work pretty good. Let's try it. Let's see what it ends up looking like. Actually, I don't even know if the angle's gonna end up being good enough for it here. Oh, actually, it's really good. Better than I expected, actually. Okay, if we're gonna do this, the one thing I think I do want to do is just give myself a little bit more room to play with up here. So I'm going to go down to 10 there for the team track. Oops. Shorten that down to 30. Just I don't like how close it was getting to that. I want to be able to create a little bit of separation between the main and the team track. Actually might bump that back up a little bit. I like that. Okay. We'll roll with that. And then actually I'm going to want just a little bit of straight track in here. Just to maintain that 2-inch, or at least close to 2-inch separation between the main and the runaround. Let's bring that out a little bit more. That might be too far. Yep, too far. So what's everybody else got going on? It's the holiday season. There's train shows galore going on. I heard Dennis and Brandon and Banu got to meet yesterday for the first time up in Albany. That's really exciting. Glad that ended up happening. They've all three been in my Discord server for quite some time now. Speaking of Banu, what did I have that set at? Let's try 3.5. Okay, pretty happy with that. Oh, that's not going to be at the right angle though. Ah, shoot. Go back to 3 on that. Well, here, this is what we'll do. Okay, so that should be good as far as the runaround's concerned. We've got a good amount of capacity there. We can bring the Blairsville feed switch kind of, I'm envisioning it kind of curving back and up this way to allow a little bit of separation between the team track and this track. So we'll see. Yeah, so the RIT show, Garrett is, of course, going to be very busy on at the RIT show. I will kind of be on Saturday. I'll be working the NMRA booth if anybody wants to stop by and say hi. It will be my duty at that point to recruit you for the NMRA, though, if you're there to say hi. It will be business hours. Okay, so I want this to kind of be a pretty sharp curve. Probably okay to get away with like 26-inch radius going into there. It's siding, and then pretty much plan on this coming all the way back to here. Delete that, and there's our Blairsville feed siding. So, just one more industry left to throw in here, which is Dlubac glass, I think. Hoping you'll be able to attend ops around the clock. Well, I hope you are too. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, so blueback glass is going to be another trailing point. I'm thinking the most simple solution to this is honestly just going to be putting in back-to-back switches right here. We'll connect the main like so. Nice little wide sweeping curve. Nothing crazy. And then blueback glass is... I can't decide if I want to curve it back up this way at all, or if I just want to kind of bring it straight in. I think I probably want to curve it up a little bit just to not compress the space that we're using for Blairsville feed. So we'll bring, yeah, I think I want to curve it in a little bit for blueback glass. Well, so we'll go like 10, and it doesn't need to be quite as sharp as Blairsville feed was. Okay. As far as a rough outline is concerned, I think I'm pretty happy with what we've got here. Definitely would probably take a little bit of refinement, but you know, you look at this and it's you know, it's not conventional as far as, you know, straight rigid track. It's kind of more fluid, which is what I wanted to kind of portray here. You can see this is the BVRR main through Blairsville. You know, very twisty and windy, which I'm hoping that this track plan kind of portrays pretty well. We've also kind of got our industry sidings set kind of funkily as I'm unpacking things. The Lubac, I can't pronounce it. Glass is really kind of right up on the main. Blairsville really is off the main, and then you've also got the team track, which kind of really does come off the main. So those two are kind of right. If anything, I think what I might want to do is actually change the way Lubac is laid out. I think I might be happier with it kind of up on the main, kind of closer to the right prototype orientation. And again, you know, I've just like if I'm at the normal workbench, I'm not trying to portray that I am in any way a professional track planner. There are plenty of people out there that are far more talented at this than me. So if you've got any sort of feedback for me, please feel free to offer it up, and I'll be happy to listen. Okay, so I want... Let's just see what this looks like. I definitely want that sharper. And I want it to be less. Okay, I want to make sure that this is kind of parallel. So let's see. Bring that back to 20. 20 was a little too far. That's pretty much good. Okay, so there's the Dlubac glass siding. I do want to just kind of make sure that I can maximize the amount of space going in there. I may tighten up the turning radius slightly. Just looking at, so in order to make this really fit, I've likely got to about here. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that. Doesn't feel like it's quite enough space. So maybe what I need to do is just kind of jaunt away from, oops, that was the wrong way. Maybe I need to kind of jaunt away from the main line just ever so slightly so that I can get enough. Let's see, what do I want here? I want enough space for like 2, 3 silicate hoppers, so 2 bays. These are shorter cars. Like, what are they, like 4 or 5 inches? So I really want a good 15 inches worth of space for unloading. So ultimately, that's what I want right there. And I want it to make sense. It almost does, just like that, I think. What do you guys think? Does that make sense? You know, Dlubac glass is going to be getting, I would imagine, probably a lot of Trinity 2 bays filled with various different silicates for glass making, I would imagine. I don't think it would really need to get a whole lot more unless, you know, you're sending out glass products by rail, which is really not enough space to do a separate track for loading. Where there might be enough track, and I was kind of thinking about it, would be with Blairsville feed. We could possibly put in another track there. That industry looks like it was quite large at one point as far as what it might have taken for rail cars. I would, if you look at this on Street View, which I can't in this map, there's these 2 massive grain bins right here. So I would imagine what they were doing is kind of coming in off the main here. And I looked through historical Google Earth images too, and I can't see that it was, I can't see a point where it was ever rail served. You can see that this is the old Y that used to go into Blairsville Yard. This is all Blairsville Yard all the way up through here, and then when it was Pensy era, Norfolk Southern just came in right through here. Or the Pensy main came right through here into the yard and everything. So I mean, if there's an opportunity to put in any sort of, you know, enhanced switching, it's probably with Blairsville feed. We could do, you know, we could say that they're getting feed cars in on one track to be loaded with bulk feed. There could be an unloading track for grain coming in covered hoppers as well, and then the other possibility would be a boxcar loading track for bulk feed coming out in sacks, which I don't know if that necessarily makes a ton of sense in modern times. A lot of that traffic is trucked now. So perhaps what makes most sense is to have 2 different covered hopper tracks, one for unloading feed or grain or, you know, any sort of stuff that would go into animal feed. Because, you know, they put all sorts of very concerning things in feed for animals that humans don't eat. And one track for loading out finished product. This is very similar, actually, what we could look at for some inspiration. And this is another thing that I do, you know, when I'm track planning, if I can't find exactly what I need, you know, more recently for freelance stuff specifically. Oops. Oh, geez. I adjusted the browser instead of the map. So if we come up here and look at something that's local to me in Batavia, this is the Cargill feed plant in Batavia, which is an absolutely massive deal, where they actually, I believe, are actually only unloading on these 2 tracks. Just a massive, massive venture for unloading. Covered hoppers, they make all sorts of different animal feeds there. They make dog food for Cargill, or for Tractor Supply there, which is pretty cool. And then there's a couple of other, you know, just livestock feeds that they make there as well. But we could do, Mitch, if you're interested, we could do something like this where we've got, you know, just kind of 2 unloading tracks here, just to give you a little bit more operational interest. There is, I mean, we've got plenty of space with the runaround and everything to kind of be able to make this a little bit heavier of a switch than 3 cars in and 3 cars out. So. Yeah, I mean, Mitch, that's mostly, you know, that's as you're working on building this, that you'll definitely want those reference images for sure. But yeah, Mitch, I mean, this is really your call as far as what you want Blairsville feed to be. If you just want it to be a little, you know, podunk 3-car industry, it can be a little 3-car industry. If you want, we can try to add a switch in here and make it a little bit more. We could just do another pico curved turnout like this, and then need just a little bit more curve there. So we'll do, and then we were running pretty tight in here, which we got to be careful not to go much more than 26. Actually, what I'll do is just do need that to be more. Well, yeah, I mean, in the PRR era, it would have handled boxcars for feed. That's what they loaded out a lot of grain and feed into, was boxcars. But modern day, for you, that it's more than likely that the facility would have been retrofitted to handle covered hoppers full of feed. So that's likely what you would want to do here. If you still wanted it to load out boxcars, it can, but that's not really what a lot of modern feed facilities are doing anymore. Boxcars of feed and farm supply stuff, okay. Okay, so if you want it to stay the normal, the way we had it, we can do that. Yeah. Covered hoppers would make more sense. Okay, so, I mean, that's good. We can definitely do covered hoppers, but, do you want this to be more of a going concern industry where there's some heavier switching going on, there's 2 tracks worth of unloading happening, or do you want it to be closer to what they were handling before they stopped getting feed altogether, where it was, 2 to 3 cars a week, like you were saying? Hey, Sean, welcome in. Doing a little track planning tonight for my buddy Mitch. Okay, yeah. Like I said, that's all stuff that you can kind of bake into your freelance story, of course. I'll give that a little bit more space than the normal track arrangement. Actually, see what we need to do to just get this to be parallel. Yeah, we could be fiddling with this for a little bit. And like I said, if anybody else out there has any sort of suggestions for what we're doing here, hey, I am happy to hear them. Like I said, definitely not a professional track planner by any means. I enjoyed the creativity behind a lot of this, which is why I was willing to do it on stream, but it's pretty close to parallel, almost there. Okay, there's parallel. Okay, so Blairsville feed is now more of a going concern. Mitch will have some fun switching that, I'm sure. Now what we need to do is kind of do the math as far as how much track we've got down here for storing cars so that we make sure that the banjo that we build, or that's Mitch will need to build, has enough capacity to store all of these cars. So if we're looking at maximum capacity, so we've got, excuse me, I had tacos for dinner tonight. Okay, so we've got at the Lubac glass, we've got 15 inches of storage there, which will be enough for 3-ish cars. We've got we got 22 there. We've got a little over 36 and 36, 70, 72. We'll call that 72 just because these little offshoots are probably not a full car worth. Can't believe I just did math on camera. Or on stream, at least. And then we've got 36 there, so that's plus 36. Okay, so we want to be conservative here. 60-foot car, which is probably going to kind of be the max length of a car on this layout for the scrap dealer. 60-foot car is more like what in HO scale? That's like, I don't know, 8 inches. Let's go. Go to the exact rail. HO converter. Okay, so 60. Nope, not feet, inches. And we want to go to HO. What did I do wrong? Oh, it is 60 feet. That's what I did wrong. 8.27. Okay. So we'll say, we'll divide that by 8.25. So we need to make sure that there's enough car spots on the banjo for about 17 cars. And that's being very conservative, just because, you know, the longest car on this layout is going to be a 60-foot gondola, more than likely. Most of them are going to probably be, you know, there might be a 50-foot boxcar or a 50-foot covered hopper, maybe some 60-foot covered hoppers as well. So right now, we definitely do not have that amount of space on the banjo. So we're going to have to work on that. Easiest way to do this is probably just going to be lengthen it, but also add another track. Oh my gosh. Oops. Okay, so we've got 36, 36, 72, 72 there. So what's that put us at? Oh shoot, I should have written stuff down. $17 cars is what I needed, right? And then we had, so 72 divided by 8.25, 8 cars. So I need space for about 8 more cars. So really need to lengthen that banjo a little bit. Okay, that should get us pretty darn close. Hey, Jeff, welcome in. Doing a little track planning tonight. All right, that should be enough. So we got 36 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 180. So we've got a little bit here. What's that end up being? Yeah, that gets us to our number. Plus a little extra for some locomotive storage. Yeah, Joey, we did. Welcome back, though. We're pretty much done, actually, which is pretty exciting. yeah, so this is kind of our banjo here. I'm not going to put it on the end because my work plane is too big, but that should be enough space for the whole shebang. Actually, might as well just widen it out. This is the weirdest thing about AnyRail to me for some reason. The length is actually the width of the template that you're working on. So if I just bring that out to like, yeah, that's plenty big enough. Okay, so here is the initial section of the Blacklick Valley for Mitch. I hope that he likes it. We could do a little bit more fine tuning here. This is not quite parallel, I'm just now noticing. Oh, it was somewhere in between 11 and 12 degrees. That's better. Okay. I like it. Let's put some labels on here, just so they're there. I know there's some pretty incredible guys who like, you know, put all of their little designs into things so that you've got your industry buildings and everything. We're just kind of we're doing this simply for Mitch. Oh, come on. Why did that just disappear? Blairsville Team Track. Glad you had a good time at Hyde Park, Dennis. Hopefully you had a good... Cool, Dennis. Hopefully you did have a fun time at the Albany show as well. Yeah, I'll tell you something. I'm not gonna lie. My stomach says I'm gonna be right out of here at 9 o'clock. And then that's Delu back glass. Cannot pronounce it. So, some of you, oops, that's going to be Hank Selvage. Yep, had that right. Sweet. Okay, so there's our 4 industries. I would imagine this is enough to keep Mitch busy for probably an hour or two switching in each session. Something that can be reasonably built in, you know, a couple of years' time. You know, plenty of opportunity to get his feet wet as far as structure building, track work, and still something fun to switch because Mitch is looking to get into operations. So hopefully he's happy with this design. I'm going to send him the AnyRail file, so if he's not happy with it, he can change it himself, which is perfectly okay with me. Won't be offended in the slightest, that's for sure. That stinks, Adam. I've seen a couple of your prints that you were doing on Heath's Discord. The Toad one was hilarious, and the Grinch one as well. All right, so I'm gonna save this. And we're gonna go, yeah, Mitchell switching layout is what we want it to be saved as. So I forgot I already had it partially saved. Cool. So yeah, some of you might have seen earlier today, I posted that the next layout update is going to be out this Thursday at 11 a.m. So be sure to tune in for that. In it, I'm talking about a couple of pretty big topics, including the new backdrops, the new workbench and the finished 1703 build. So Mitch, actually, I'm thinking the station ought to be able to go in this kind of dead area of space right here. So we could do, if you want, even though it is technically on this side of the tracks, but we can fudge things a little bit. So let's just say that it's 4 by 12. Oops. Oops. I gotta send this backward. Oop. Oh, I have it as a tabletop. There we go. There we go. There's your Blairsville station. That's the color I meant to make it. And then, of course, you'll have your structures here for Blairsville feed. Probably not any structures for the team track. Dulubac glass, there'll be plenty of space for. Hank salvage probably won't need a structure, but plenty of opportunities there for sure. Oh man, that stinks, Adam. But yeah, so anyway, I want to pull up the track plan for my main layout, and you're gonna want to ignore. Is this the one? Oh yes, I do want to change. Ignore the title. Because this is the track plan as it exists today, I believe. Yes. So my workbench now sits right in here. Yeah, some cool trucks, just like John's got in his team track. Some cement unloading. Hey, that's something that you could do there in that area, Mitch. Was some cement unloading. On top of the fertilizer. You know, you could have a varied amount of traffic coming in and out of there. But yeah, so anyway, the workbench sits right here currently, but where it's being moved to is actually right here, right behind Penn Yan. And this is the actual dimensions of my basement. For those of you who have been here before, you'll know there's workbench here. And then, you know, a little bit of storage here with my airbrush on top of it, which will also be moving. And then I've got like a little crew lounge set up right here. Utilities over along this wall. And then there's a bunch of storage in behind where the workbench is now. I am very seriously thinking about what to do with this space now, though. I'm not happy with the amount of space that's between Geneva Yard and Auburn, because when you're pulling for headroom for Auburn and they're drilling from the east side of Geneva Yard, it does make it difficult. You know, you kind of end up meeting on the bridge, which is, you know, dangerous as far as, you know, the prototype is concerned. So I have been seriously considering the idea of doing a little bit of reshaping of the main layout here, you know, somewhere in here. But the big thing too is I also have, and actually let's visualize it in the space. I have 24. Oh, Paul's bad at math. 192. Okay. I have this amount of Fremo module that also I would love to have space to just have set up permanently in my layout room. So that it's up, and as I decide I want to work on it, it can be up and accessible whenever I need it to be. If I do it this way, I encroach into my crew lounge area, which is not ideal to me. But I also, I don't know that I really am mentally prepared for a major change to the way things operate on the layout. It's definitely going to, at bare minimum, any changes to the layout itself are going to be a while. But I did, so let me take you through my line of thinking here. I've got that big backdrop project going on. And before I started tearing down backdrops over here in the Auburn area, I decided, you know what, it's definitely time to do the workbench relocation mid-backdrop project, just so that it's over here, and whatever I end up deciding to do, I don't have to go back and do backdrops a second time. So I'm still not sure what I'm doing with this area, but I do need to decide what it is that I'm doing with this area before I can proceed any further than Geneva Yard with backdrops. Yeah, Paul, I know that that's you love that idea, but I don't know that I'm up for it. Yeah, Joey, so these Fremo modules are heavy. They're not that easy to just kind of store above the layout. And to be fair, I only have like 6'11" ceilings in my basement. There's not really a ton of space above the layout to store them. So I don't know. I'm still stuck between a rock and a hard place as far as what I want to do here. If I was to expand out here, you know, the actual main line continues all the way to Solvay. I don't reasonably think that I have the space to be able to do it, but I could. I don't know. Could be me that built them that way. They could have been light from the time. They could have been relatively light when they left Mr. Paul Pontarelli's shop, and then some idiot decided to add a whole bunch more weight with some, rolling wheels because he thought that was going to be more important than them being, light. And then also decided that they needed to hinge and fold up instead of being removable because that was going to be more convenient. That could have been me. Yeah. Currently, they're stored behind the workbench area on a pallet right here up off the ground so that they're away from any sort of ground moisture and everything. I would really like to be able to have them out all the time, but if I was to do the Auburn expansion, I would likely kind of just take, here. Paul, by the way, is the gentleman that helped us, my entire club, get our Fremo modules up and going. And he, deserves an immense amount of appreciation for that, for sure. Okay, so this is 48 inches of space. What I could do, if I was to kind of just lop it off here, shift it this way, I could kind of get rid of a little bit of that track. Kind of loop this back around. Probably have to be just a slightly more sharp of a curve, but I could loop it back around this way. And this does involve completely getting rid of the continuous mainline run as well. That would be gone if I do this. There would be no more continuous mainline run. I don't use it that much other than when I'm cleaning track, so I wouldn't miss it that much. When I have people over and they bring stuff that they want to run after the session's over, that's kind of the biggest time that this gets used. And then the only other time it gets used is when the Auburn road or the Auburn job needs headroom to do all their switching. And by doing this expansion, I could likely get rid of a lot of that need for headroom. Actually. Yeah, so that's kind of the general idea. You get to a point here where you're just coming back like, I mean, this section, the new section, you know, obviously you're going to extend it out probably about 4 feet, and then the new section coming off of this side would likely be like only 12 inches wide, so it'd be a narrow section, and like 6 feet. Oop, nope, not 6 feet. So really would probably only be able to be about 4 feet to maintain my aisle widths. Yeah. That's kind of what we'd be looking at max as far as more layout is concerned, because I don't want to bring it into this crew lounge. If I'm going to expand, I'm not touching the crew lounge area. That's going to stay put. I also still need to have somewhere to store stuff in this basement as well. There's no way my wife, if she's even watching this, would be okay with any of this unless there was still places to store stuff in this basement. And right now, where this workbench is, it's a mess down here because I still need to figure out where to store that stuff. So this is probably about the maximum we'd be talking about. 4 feet here and another 4 feet there, just to give myself more headroom for Auburn. Get it so that when you're pulling headroom from here, you're not having a storage in a basement. Wild concept. And you're not having, meats on the bridge on the middle of the Cayuga Causeway. Makes it feel like there's a little bit more room. Always assume, yeah. Well, she's actually in earshot of me tonight as well, so there's a chance she's hearing all of it. She may have also fallen asleep midstream because she also likes to do that if she is watching me. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, that's what we're talking about. Auburn itself, I can kind of take you guys up there so that you can see it. Oops, I did it again. Let's take you over to Auburn. Okay, here's Auburn. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's the new transload. This is brand new, actually. So we're on the Finger Lakes now, Finger Lakes Railway. This is a brand new transload that they're actually just putting in recently. I modeled 2013 to 2015, so that's out of my modeling era. This is Auburn Yard, which I model now. This is new core steel that's behind Auburn Yard. I also model that, not in the correct orientation, which this redo could allow me to do, which would be pretty cool, especially because I'll have access to this area for operating. Okay, I'm starting to talk myself into this. So I could actually open up this area behind Auburn Yard. And actually, yeah, so Auburn Yard is these two tracks here. I deleted the end of Auburn Yard when I was fiddling around. This is what I have in for new core. This is Auburn Metal Processing, which is also not in the right prototype location. And then I've also got what I call the Solvay sweep track, which is supposed to be modeling traffic that's coming in and out of Solvay. Since I can't model that portion, I just don't have the room because, like I said, no matter what, I'm not coming into this space to the left at all. But yeah, if I was to redo it, this is Auburn Metal Processing right here. This is their siding. They actually recycle freight cars, which is kind of cool. You can see, I think this is probably remnants of a couple of them right here. Well, Mitch, good news. You can tell her you're starting with just 16 feet. You know, you can turn this into a if you give a moose a muffin situation. But there is another cool section of Auburn if you look. So this is the Finger Lakes main line right here, right? This is Auburn Yard where we just were. If you come down this way, there's a part that crosses routes 5 and 20 right here. This is the remnants of the old Lehigh Valley Roundhouse that burned in Auburn, but it's pretty cool. You could see how close this main line got to the Roundhouse, which is pretty neat. And then if you keep going down here, this is Caraval, which is another industry that takes a good chunk of cars, and it's honestly a pretty interesting switch if I could find room for it up on this little section, which I don't know that I frankly have enough room to do that justice. I would have to play around a little bit, but this is a really cool industry. They take, they actually do a bunch of different things out of here. They do fertilizer in tanks, they do fertilizer in covered hoppers. They have gotten reefers in there previously to be unloaded, I believe. I'd have to double check with my buddy Alex. He would know for sure. But by putting this in, I also would likely have enough going on to justify... Oh, come on, it's not right there in the picture, of course. Well, in the real-life Auburn Yard, there is a dedicated unit there at all times. 2305 is usually the unit that you'll find in Auburn at any given time. And there's a dedicated Auburn Yard job that's only job is to do all the switching of all of the local industries and get things prepped for GS2. So I would likely have enough work if I was able to get Caravel in there to operate the layout like the real thing and have a dedicated switcher in Auburn ready to go. It just would likely mean that GS2 would not have anything to do. I don't know. There's a lot to think about here. This is stuff that I've really, I've only just begun to think about. So figured I'd share it with you guys since we had a little bit of extra time to end the stream and see what you guys think. So let me know what you're thinking in the comments, because I think I am going to wrap up here. But I appreciate everybody tuning into tonight's stream. I had a blast doing some track planning tonight instead of our normal stuff at the workbench. But this was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing more stuff like this. Maybe if I do decide to go through with this, we can track plan it on stream. We'll see. Again, still not even sure that this is really going to happen. Like I said, I really would appreciate having a dedicated space to set these Freemo modules up long term. Set up regular or other Freemo modules if I decide to build other Freemo modules. Like I said, I've got let's see, where is it? Yeah. Nope, that's not it. Where'd it go? There we go. No, I don't want to save that. Yeah, so like I said, I've got other Freemo modules that I also want to build, and those would take up space too. So it's a lot of choices to make. So I'll sit on it. Nothing needs to be decided right away. I just need to make some sort of decision, within the next couple of months, so that I can continue with the backdrop project. But a little bit of time still to decide. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in on Thursday, 11 a.m. The new layout update will be coming out, where we're going to be talking about a lot of this stuff that relates to that possible expansion if I decide to do that. And we'll see what happens. If there's anybody new out there, hit the subscribe button before you leave. Would appreciate having you here long term as we decide what we're doing. Dennis, it sounds like, is going to be streaming tonight, so keep an eye out for his stream as soon as that's up. And Mitch, I hope that you enjoy my the track plan here. Like I said, feel free to do any sort of adjustments that you feel necessary, and I hope that it gets you started down the right path towards your layout. Like I said, I think it's a good jumping off point for you for sure. So, all right, guys, take care, and I'll see you next week.